yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Hey, 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 guys, ladies and gentlemen, look who it is. The one and only Mr. Blue Games is back with us, live and direct in person, no longer behind the scenes,
Yes,
no longer
sir.
laying up and chilling. He's here with us today, guys. The Blu-XPerience is back in full effect. Absolutely. And the way we're going to start this out, full effect, we're going to be bringing you a special guest today, guys. Blue, I didn't even ask you how you doing. You know what? Let me shut up. Blue, how are you, man?
I'm
Welcome
doing
back,
I'm,
man.
I'm,
How you
I'm,
doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. My voice still is gonna sound a bit lower and different today as I'm still recovering from COVID, but I'm feeling a heck of a lot better. Glad to be back. Last week's episode, weekly episode, was amazing with you and Phoenix. I was in the background. I couldn't talk, but I was super excited and just loving all the conversation and everything going on. So good to see you guys back. Welcome back to the Blu-XPerience. And again, we have an amazing show for you guys today. XP, who are we talking to today?
Let's name a few aircraft. Boeing 757, Boeing 767, A320, Boeing
Ultimate.
777, soon to be 787, and a version 2 777. We're talking to and about the one and only FlightFactor, ladies and gentlemen, is on the show with us today. And from FlightFactor is the head man himself, Mr. Ramsey is in the house to answer all our questions and to go as far and talk about as much as possible. Plus, what he's doing in his personal life also that relates back to flight simming and the airplanes that he is made for us and will be flying. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, man, let's go ahead and bring the man on.
Let's
Ramses,
go.
how you doing? Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
What's up, Ramsey?
Hi guys, sleepy mostly. It's 3 o'clock at night.
3
Exactly. By the way,
a.m.
this man, guys, let me just say, he stayed up for us. It's 3 a.m. where he is right now in Latvia. And we're like rocking East Coast time here. So, Ramses, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for coming on, giving us the time to talk to you, interview you, and find out what's going on in the world of FlightFactor. And we're excited for what's coming up, man. But how are you? How are you doing other than tired?
I think
How's everything?
it's great to be on. Actually, I think it's my first real podcast like this, video and stuff like that. The last time I did something like this was 8 years ago, and then we had only voice mostly for like
Jeez.
777 version 1, and then it all became hectic and we were producing planes. All right, I'm great. Getting ready to go to the States for the expo. Hopefully it happens,
Yep.
not
Flight
like last
exercise.
year.
Have you been? How often are you in the States?
Uh, Actually, in 2020, when the ban came on, so now you can't travel from Europe to the States.
Hmm.
You need to get
Yeah.
what's called national interest exemption.
Hmm.
That basically means that the country really needs you to come. So I think in 2020, I was there like 4 times. And before, a couple of times before. So I only started going a couple of years ago when I started my aviation career. And now I try to be there as often as I can. It's much more fun to fly in the States.
Oh, is it? Oh, really?
Oh,
Tell us
really?
about it. Why would you say that for us who don't
Oh
know?
yeah. Well, the rules in the States for general aviation, they're much better. I don't want to say looser, but they make more sense. It's one country, so you don't have to cross any borders. Most of the flying is actually free. So in Europe, you have to pay for airspace usage. If you
Wow.
fly in IFR, you have to pay for landings everywhere. If you fly on a small plane, you need avgas fuel, which is not really available.
Hmm.
So the States is a much better environment for general aviation.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
started flying here in Europe. I got my license in Europe, and then I transferred it to the FAA license. And what I do is I go for something, either for specifically to fly somewhere, or for some other business I have. I go to the States, usually to North Carolina,
Hmm.
and then me and Philip, the Philip that works for Laminar, Philip Minsel, who started FlightFactor with me 10 years ago. So he's a flight instructor. So we fly. We just like make those little trips. We flew around Florida, flew up the coast last year. We do some other stuff. So usually it's like 10-day trips, mostly to fly in a Diamond or a Cessna or something like that.
Bro, you are living the life. The American aviation dream is what that sounds like right there. That's amazing. The fact that you
Yeah.
don't live in the United States, you're all the way on the other side of the world, but you're able to come over here and fly GA up and down the coast and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool. It's like kind of like a dream of mine, something that I personally want to do in the future. But onto like on what you're talking about, how did that all get started? Like, how did you meet Philip? Why North Carolina? Like, what's kind of like your aviation background? And because I mean, I don't know if you've ever told the story before. I know I've been following FlightFactor for a while since I got into X-Plane. You were like the first brand of aircraft that I ever knew anything about, and probably actually, it was actually my first purchase for X-Plane 10 was the 767. This was back, I think, while ago, back in X-Plane 10 days. So I would like to know in the chat as well, what is you guys' first X-Plane or flight simulator add-on as far as planes? But mine was the 767. But anyway, but the question is, how did you get started? Like, where did you come from? How did you meet Philip? How did you guys end up making aircraft? And actually before that, how did you get into aviation? Because from what I'm learning is the fact that you somehow got rated in a 777. So how did that lead up from GA?
Actually, my story is the other way around. So to tell you the truth, when I was 18, going to a flight school, which was at that point the only way you could become a pilot was to go to like an academy. So basically, you get an aviation education where you become a pilot and you have an education in aviation. That was one of the things I was considering. And at that point, it was the 90s. Then the 90s, most pilots in Russia were sitting on the ground because there were more pilots than they needed, much like now. So then my father kind of told me, well, are you crazy? Why do you want to do this? This is stupid. You're going to look, they're sitting on the ground. And I was working after school. I was working in an airport in my city in Ukraine. And there were a lot of pilots who were not flying. They were doing desk jobs and stuff like that. So he convinced me that going into aviation wasn't a good idea. Actually, some of my friends who then went to the flight school ended up flying a couple of years in Africa, and then they came back and they're now captain. So it works out. It does work out for people. Yeah. So I didn't. I went to a university in Israel, and I became a mathematician. I had a PhD in math, and actually, somewhere on the internet there are, I think, 2 published scientific articles that I wrote with my professor. Yeah, and don't ask me what they're about. It's very abstract math. I haven't been doing anything in math in the last, 12 years, I think.
Wow.
But I did start I was teaching in one of the best universities in Israel as a TA, and then I was lecturing something. So my initial idea was to become a mathematician. And then so I was using X-Plane, I think, back when X-Plane was in the 7th version. I'm sorry.
X-Plane 7.
X-Plane, I don't even know what that looks like.
Ancient.
That's before my time.
Yeah, I think it was the first one. I think in X-Plane 7 we got the 3D cockpit, or maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I don't want to sound. Yeah, I don't remember because we were using 2D cockpits back then. So anyway, I stopped using it at some point, and then I think in 2003 or 4, 6, something like that, I somehow came back to that, and it was X-Plane 9.1 or 9.0, something like that, when I saw Dan Klauer's tutorials. So he
I'm
made.
familiar with it. What did he make?
Oh, so Dan Klauer made those very nice tutorials, and he has this nice, radio personality voice because he used to be on the radio. So he had this very nice voice and accent, and he was showing how to make basic planes for X-Plane. And what he was doing, he was making an ERJ 140, the very first one that he later on published, he was making it in his tutorials.
Hmm.
So I got into those tutorials and I was following them, and they started building something. It was interesting to build an aircraft, more interesting than to fly at that point.
So you were more interested in
And
building, your own airplane and X-plane rather than flying it
at
yourself.
that point, yeah. At that point, yes. I was doing some online flying, long haul flights, something like that on Ivao, and I started building those aircraft. And I don't remember what was the first ones. I published a couple of free planes, like SSJ, I think was one of the first ones. The old one, not even the one that they're selling now.
Right.
And got into that, started making planes. People were downloading them. And then I think I met Nick, the org owner, online, and he suggested I make a payware plane. And I made a Superjet.
And
It was called Superjet version 4.
do you know what year this
Which
was?
Well, I think it was 12 years ago or 11, something like that.
Okay.
Because I started selling that plane, the Superjet. I was still in the university back then. I think I was finishing my PhD. I remember that we started selling the SSJ on the day I went to Germany for some conference, which was quite stupid because, of course, it didn't work, and I spent like whole night on the laptop fixing it.
Yes.
So that's why I remember that shipping on the day when we leave. That's not the best idea. And a year later, Nick introduced me to this guy who was also in the university, Philip, who was finishing his bachelor's degree in Germany. I think I must have been like 25, and he was, I think, 21 something. And he said, "Oh, look, he's a smart guy. You can talk to him." And we collaborated, and we started working on a 777 on the first plane. And it came out in September 2012, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. September 2012.
So if my math's correct, the 777 is what, 2012?
10 years old.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeesh.
It's going to be 10 years old, yeah.
Wow. And we're still flying it today, believe it or not, even though we're going to be talking about the update coming out for it, but we're still flying the 777. As a matter of fact, one of my guys.
I'm kind of embarrassed that people fly. I mean, it's a nice
You're
plane.
embarrassed.
Well, I have to say it is time to make a new one. So, we somehow the plans always get pushed back, and you want to do this and you want to do that. So I do understand when sometimes people buy the triple now and they say, "Oh, it's crap." Well, and then I have to explain, look, guys, this is a 10-year-old plane. The problem is not the plane. The problem is us still selling it. And, well, we can't stop selling it because there isn't a new one.
Right.
But then it is old, and we should have been quicker. But at the time, it was a great plane. I look at it now, and it looks kind of, the graphics looks not precise, and the systems don't look as advanced. But it was a big step for X-Plane at that point.
I have to say, for a 10-plus-year-old plane, kind of rewinding back, time traveling back to 2012, I'm thinking about how freaking like amazing and groundbreaking this plane must have been when it released. Like, how did this shake up the community back then? Was this X-Plane 9 that they released on?
Yeah, I think it was 9.2 something. Yeah,
My God.
it was
Wow.
a beginning. It was just as well. No, I think I don't want to lie. Maybe 9.4, something like that. It was after X-Plane 9 became kind of solid. The X-Plane 9 had quite a long run of being wobbly. So we got that out, and by that point, I think I quit university because it was I was offered like a so after you do a PhD, you have to do a postdoc, which means you have to go somewhere. You have to go to a different country usually. I mean, if you're in the States or Britain, you can do this in the same place. But if you're in a small country, you have to go abroad. And at that point, I had like 2 kids, and just financially, didn't seem to make sense to stay in university. And they wasn't as. I mean, if you're really good, then you do it. You do science. You become a scientist. I didn't feel like I was too good at it, and as a purely a job, it's not It's not financially sensible. It doesn't financially make sense. So I didn't go to Germany. I was offered a position in Germany to do my postdoc, and I went to work as a programmer for a company that traded on the Chicago exchange. That was a horrible experience.
It wasn't your calling. Aviation.
No, it was horrible. It was horrible. I woke up every morning and it felt like I'm going to play cards with 300,000 other people who came there to play cards, and then each person tries to take each other's money. That's what there is nothing. I mean, you don't. It was futures trading, so you don't really buy anything. You just play around with.
So basically, throughout this time, you're kind of flight simming as just a lover of flight sim and aviation. You already, at this time, it sounds like you already have a pilot's license. But
no, I didn't.
You didn't. Oh, okay, my bad.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't.
There's tons we're gonna have to get into because we got to talk about your 777 rating. But I don't want to get to that yet. But the 777 is the thing in X-plane. If you don't know, I mean the 7.6. I love the 757. That's like one of my favorite airplane all time. 7.6 is a complement to that because they're the same airplane except one's a wide body. But the 777 is what we've been begging for in X-plane. Well, we have it, but as you know, it's older. And when did you come up with the idea? When did you guys start working on the version 2, which is what everybody's looking forward to like really bad now? When did you guys start on that?
Well, it's hard to say technically. I think we started. So we're now a big team. We are, I think, FlightFactor is anywhere between 12 and 17 people. Depends how you count.
Wow.
Because we have people helping us, working like 1 day a week or something. So we actually started doing things on the new triple, maybe about 8 months ago. But again, it's not like the old times when there were 2 of us and now we're doing a new plane. Okay, forget everything. So we have to work on a lot of things. And by the way, support and everything around this takes a lot of time. We have a lot of customers. We have the support system. We have the updater system. So some people are working purely on that. Some people are working only on the SASL platform, which we use. So I guess about 8 months ago, the main programmer guys started working on the 777, and we built the new architecture. To tell you the truth, the 777 and the 87 are we started them together, and it's not even clear at the moment which one is going to be first because it's like a new generation.
I want to give you an honest, I guess, personal thought and feedback that I had. I'm just going to tell you my personal thoughts on this situation before we move on. When I heard you guys announce that you were going to be working, I'm sure you're already working on both, you just hadn't said it, but you were going to be working on a 787, I was like, okay, I'm excited, sort of, only kind of, because we already have a 787 X plane. It's not, obviously it's not the best of quality, but we have one at least. But the 777, again, as we mentioned before, is 10 plus years old. I own it. Most people in the X plane community own the 777, and there's a lot of mods out there for it, and they're enjoying it. But we need a new one. Obviously, you said that. But here's just a funny thing is like when the 787 got announced, I was like, okay, this is dope, this is cool, but I really want a 777. And so I was like, if I had to choose, even though honestly the 787 is actually my personal favorite airliner out there right now, the 777 is just that's something that I want and something I personally needed. So what is like the response you've gotten from the community since you have now announced that both of these are in development?
Oh, the response now has been very positive. So as you said, when we announced the 7.8, some people were saying, oh, where is our 777? We want a 777. And we're holding back because, again, I don't want to announce anything which I can't show anything for.
Exactly.
So, we started mostly working on the 3D stuff from the 7.8 part, and you can't show code. I mean, we can show code sometimes, but it's not that interesting. So now all the cards are out, and we are working our asses off on those planes. Don't ask me anything about when. I have no idea.
I'm big
Ask Laminar and X-plane about X-plane 12.
There you go. A big smile came over my face when you said 777 and 787 in the same sentence together, and you're working on them concurrently, which is like music to my ears. I just put a poll in chat to see which one the audience think they would prefer first, the 777 or the 78. We'll see by the end of the stream here what they say they want. But yeah, in a sense, I'm kind of leading the 787 way. I'm not sure how it's going to come out with you guys and getting everything, but I figure because you are now a 777 rated captain, do you have a bias, a preference? Do you have more resources you could pull on for that plane, or it doesn't matter?
Oh, probably yes. I mean, on small details because I've been in the cockpit a lot and like that. But I don't think that's what's going to play a role here. This is purely technical.
Right.
We'll see down the line how it works. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll get XP11 announcement next week, and then we'll see how much effort it is to move everything to XP11. So that will also influence probably what we are doing.
I was actually
Hold on, don't skip over that quick. You said you're going to get a look at or a copy of XP11 next week, so you can start.
No. I said that we are probably going to get an announcement. Okay, let me be clear. I hope that on the expo or around the expo, we as a community finally get some news on XP11. Let's be clear on that.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I have no information to share. I don't ask, they don't tell me. We all know it's probably coming. Yeah. Yep. Hopefully, it's really time. When XP11 came, it took, I don't know, a couple of months to get all the planes working correctly. When XP10 came, it took even longer. So we'll see. But that will obviously, influence our plans in terms of times. But we don't have any time plan now. I mean, we're working 90% of the time. I think we're working on those new planes.
Right.
Now we are posting every week. So I try to, every Friday we try to post, or once a week we try to post on Twitter some progress, some interesting thing we're doing. So, people can follow. It's still not really, we are not ready to talk about time frames.
Right.
Like that.
That actually answers my question, though, because I was going to ask, when it comes to development of the 777 and 787, like how much is X-Plane 12 on your mind and in the process? Because I mean, again, kind of with you being such good friends with a staff member of Laminar, it sounds like it's not the, it's kind of an don't ask, don't tell kind of thing, but it sounds like, I would assume that you would have like an insight and they would be able to be hey, I know you guys are working on this amazing new plane. Would you like to get like, an early piece, early copy, early look, or, kind of like to be able to be in the development to allow the 787 and 777 to evolve with what X-Plane 12 is going to be?
Well, I mean, all the developers have a relationship with Laminar. That's the positive thing about Laminar as opposed to other companies. They talk to us. All the developers.
It's true. I love to hear that Laminar talks to you guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I mean, most developers, I'm sure, can write emails to Ben, and you can write. You could write an email to Austin. He would answer. He answers emails the same day he gets them.
Wow.
The answer might be short. He might not read your email to the fullest. He might answer something completely irrelevant, but he will answer your email the same day. So Laminar talks to all the developers. My friendship with Philip is mostly about something else. I mean, don't ask, don't tell is a good thing. I mean, I don't want to put anyone in any strange position, so I'm not asking. If I need to know something, I'm writing to Ben. They are sharing some general info, but nothing specific beyond what we have seen in the videos, the 2 or 3 that they released. I think, well, at least we don't have any real insights. Maybe other developers do, but I doubt it. So we are basically progressing on the planes. I don't think that XP 12 should really hinder anything. It might break something, but I mean, okay, that's the price you pay for a new version. XP 11 took us a while to get through, and it took them a while to get it working correctly. And get. But they were talking to us then when they, for example, when they introduced VR. So I'm not sure whether you were aware, but we are not using the VR in the same way that Laminar wanted us to. We have our own click system, so we are not using any manipulators, and that was a problem because if you are using the manipulator system and the built-in way to communicate with the cockpit, you get VR working for free. It just works, and we weren't, so there was an issue. So I talked to Ben and I'm okay. We are using this. We want to continue. How do we do this? And he said, okay, I can help you. I'll put in some code here and there. So, he made some modifications to XP11, and our system became operational. So we didn't have to remake anything. So it's a nice relationship. They help us. Hopefully we help. Hopefully they know we help them. Yeah. So mostly it's just Laminar. It's not Philip. I mean, I write emails to Austin once a month about something.
Wow, so much information, which is great for me. I gotta ask you. I mean, there's tons of questions in chat coming up. They want to know about the A350. They want to know about the A320. They want to know about just all of your airplanes. But let me jump here for a quick, since we're talking about the 777 and 787, and your decision, or how did it come about that you became a type-rated 777 captain?
You want the whole story, huh? Okay.
Yeah, so, give us.
I want to know.
We want to know, man.
It's always one of the best subjects when you can talk about yourself. So buckle up.
True.
Yeah. So right. So when basically me and Philip after the 777, we concentrated on this. I quit at some point. I quit my other job. To tell you the truth, I was also helping my dad. At that point, he was still around, and he was doing some business in Ukraine. So I spoke English, so I was helping him. But mostly, I was working on X-Plane since the 777 version 1. A couple of months in, I saw that the income it generates was enough to kind of, at least for 50% of the job, and then I could help my dad. So at some point, Laminar asked Philip to come to the States to help them. So at that point, it was kind of a not a full-time thing, something that he could do for the summer. And he came to Austin, and he got his private pilot license in South Carolina at that point. So basically, he went there, and then they offered him a full-time job, and a couple of years in, he moved to the States. Now he's married. He lives in the States. He has a kid. And a couple of years ago, he said, "You know what? You should come to North Carolina." Well, yeah, I forgot it's okay. So 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I got back into thinking about real aviation. Yeah, that was the sequence. So I started thinking about doing a private pilot license. And at that point, we moved to Latvia, which was just randomly basically chosen place. It's Northern Europe. I like the weather here. People speak kind of the same language. So half of the population speaks Russian. The other half speaks Latvian, which is a Slavic language, which is kind of fine. So, I had 6 years, I already had 4 kids. So we took 3 of them. The oldest one went to university, and we moved to Latvia, and I did my private pilot license here under EASA rules. And then Philip said, "Oh, you should come to the States. We'll fly around." So I came there, and I converted my license to became an FAA private pilot, flew around there, loved it, came back, did my instrument rating there, then converted the FAA instrument rating into the European instrument rating, then became a commercial pilot in Europe.
Wow.
Then came back to the States, became a commercial pilot in the States.
Wow.
Then I did my ATP in Denver.
Jesus.
And at that point, I thought, well, this, knowing idea of flying a big plane, plus the obvious affection for the 777 and for the big Boeings, I kind of thought, well, wait a minute, I can do it. It's not really a problem now. I'm almost there. like, yeah, I'm 40 years old, but I'm almost there. There isn't a real problem now. I all I have to do is pass some tests, and then I can do the type rating, and I'll be a 777 pilot. And it turned out it's not so difficult when you are a commercial pilot and you have your like multi-engine instrument rating and your ATP CTP. It's not that difficult. You just find a big school. I did in Panam Academy, which is kind of cool. They are not really Panam anymore, of course, but it's still very cool. You go in and there are all those pictures of history. Yeah, so just I think 2 years ago, it suddenly dawned on me that it's not really a big deal if you're already a commercial pilot.
Yeah.
So I found the school that would take me, and yeah, and now I can fly the 777.
It sounds like you've flown more in America than Americans have. Seriously,
No.
A lot of us would love to fly as much as you do in this country, and we don't
Well,
even
that's
do
probably
it.
true, but I've been a pilot for 5 years. So I started 5 years ago flying, and I think half of my flight time was in the States,
Wow.
even though I don't live there. So yeah, because with all those trips.
So what's interesting to me
Oh, it's good.
is a lot of people who get rated in airliners, with A320s, 777s, 737s, usually they get their commercial, their ATP, all that stuff like that. And then they usually, at least in the United States, they usually get hired onto like an airline. And then that's kind of how they get the, you know what I'm saying? Like the rating for that. But for you, you said instead you found an actual school that taught you enough to get rated straight into a 777 right out of ATP. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, nowadays it's not. Nowadays it's not that well common. I mean, in Europe, most pilots now, if they want to get somewhere, they have to get at least the first rating themselves. With COVID, the situation here is it's not very good. I mean, no one is hiring really, and a lot of pilots are getting retrained to different planes, getting flight instructor rating, stuff like that. So yes, ideally a pilot. Well, they say you shouldn't pay for your ATP. So ideally, yeah, you shouldn't pay for your ATP. You shouldn't pay for your type rating. But if you're a 40-year-old guy who, I mean, who wants to fly the plane, but who really wants to get the rating and hopes that maybe someday he flies the plane, maybe, when quits X-Plane at some point and it becomes like this old man and works for FedEx or something. I don't know. To tell you the truth, before you ask, I have no idea. I'm kind of flowing with this. I don't have. So if you ask my wife, she will say never.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, never say never. And of course, I mean, there is this boy's dreams of flying commercially for an airline. It's still there. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen. I don't think so. Probably not in this life, or at least not in the near future. But the idea of getting the rating was twofold. One, it was to really get to know the plane intimately, which actually worked. I mean, I know things, small little details now that you have to sit in that cockpit to do that. I mean, of course, they're not really important, but then, you have this, why not? Like the details, like where you have to hold the parking brake in order for it not to break the panel. Because everybody pushes the pedals at the parking brake just falls. The lever just hits the pedal, stuff like that. So small details. And of course, just to get that thing, okay, I made it, I became a pilot of a big plane.
So basically, you well, let me not put the pressure on you. So basically, you're saying that when the version 2 777 comes out for X-Plane, it's going to be something to be reckoned with. Basically, you're saying that.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Look, I'm not cocky enough, and also I don't like. I try to never compare ourselves with anything. I think I mean, there are feuds in X-Plane, of course, like in every community. I don't think I've ever feuded with anybody. I'm trying to be nice with everybody. I'll never compare. So we are trying to make the best plane we can, and it's definitely better than anything we made before.
Oh wow!
We're doing things. hopefully we can keep it up, because it's always a game between what you want to make and what you can make within a reasonable time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody wants the best plane and they want it now.
Yep.
Like everybody wants everything to be finished, everything to be the best, to have it now and to have good frame rate. That's but it's usually you have to play with it. You have to find the balance. A lot of teams I know started, never finished. Some of them because they're just trying to make. Okay, we need to make it better. We need to make it better. No, you need to ship it at some point.
Yeah.
You need to ship it. You need to finish. You need to ship. You need to give people a chance to fly it. It's better for you to see what's good about it. And it's also important to finish projects. You have to finish them. So hopefully we can keep up what we have decided we are doing, the level that we are working at. We went, and I'm sure you read my big posts about this philosophy. We are trying to go a way which is a bit different than the A320. So we're trying not to model electrons, but we are trying to give like a wider variety of things that the pilot can do. For example, I very much enjoyed the course. They have this in Europe. It's called MCC. It's Multi-Crew Cooperation. It's basically when you do your ATP, CTP in the States, it's very similar, but here it's specific. They teach you how to work as a team. Like call-outs, what people say to each other, how the captain calls the first officer to do something, things like that. So this is something I haven't seen in the flight sim.
Sure.
I haven't seen this part of so I'm trying to bring that. If we can do that, it would be nice to give kind of a feeling of working in a team when you're alone there. And I don't mean flying together, two people, one plane. I mean you flying at home your sim, but getting the experience of kind of looking up from the outside on how the crew works. So you are part of the crew, you are doing things, but then the other pilot kind of answers you and does some things for you, and you can get the feeling. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense.
No, you're making complete sense.
Absolutely.
I don't know how that will work, but I have some ideas how to make that work, and as soon as I have something, we're going to show it.
Almost like an automatic co-pilot, so to speak, that you work with, or
yeah, something similar. I mean, when you're flying the sim, I guess you want to do most of the things. You don't want to watch the sim work. But in the real cockpit, you have two people, and they cooperate. So I'm kind of trying to get that idea of you cooperating with yourself.
I think it's a great idea because a lot of, just like you said, in real life, like in the flight sim community, we're so used to we're flying 2 crew planes, or it's 3 crew planes in some points as well as a one person. But in real life, you have the workload being split. There's been so many times I'm flying any plane and I'm like, all right, I need to change the radio and talk to ATC or do this or do that, and I gotta switch over to my camera view and take my eyes off of what's really going on to go over here and do this thing. But in real life, in reality, the co-pilot will usually handle that thing. You know what I mean? So I think it is definitely something that's missing in flight sim, having the ability to kind of get that, even if you're not doing with a real person, having that interaction with a co-pilot or with something. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what we can do with it. I'm not sure. I'm not making much sense because I'm not even sure myself how that's going to work. I have some ideas. We need to start trying. But yeah, so the idea is kind of going sideways and giving people the experiences in around the actual flying, which we didn't have before in the planes. And of course, I mean the depths we are trying to make go deeper.
Right.
But not the electrons, not to simulate electrons.
I will say it sounds like, and it reminds me, not to name drop, but something like what PMDG did with their recent DC-6, where they have all these complicated systems that are modeled into the plane that you could do manually yourself if you want, but they have like this co-pilot feature that allows the co-pilot to handle and actually help you get the engine started and go through the process that the real DC-6 pilot would go through. So anyways, whether I'm not sure if you've used that plane or know anything about that, but that's something that sounds similar to what you're kind of talking about.
I make it a point not to really go into looking what other people are doing. That's not even a
Well,
lie. That's the truth. I don't know what
I
the
hear
video
you.
is.
Well, let me ask you about this though. A wider question. Somebody in chat asked, and this is going to come up anyway. Two questions. Why X-Plane, and are you going to go over to Microsoft Flight Sim at some point with FlightFactor? Have you considered those things?
Why explain is a strange question. What do you mean, why explain? Because that's the only sim. That's the only real sim, and it always used to be, always was.
Okay. All right.
I mean, in terms
Say
of,
no more. I got you.
no, but in terms of building and aerodynamics and all that real stuff, it's no secret. Explain is explain. It's the sim. In terms of Microsoft, no idea. At the moment, no. We're not.
So
I
no
mean,
real
it's not.
urge since it's dropped because it's pretty looking or nothing like that.
It no. I mean, I am a general aviation pilot in real life, so it's I understand the appeal of flying at Cessna, where you can overfly your own house, even if it has a tree inside it and stuff like that. But no, as a flight factor at the moment, no, I don't think it's ready. I don't think that the sim is advanced enough to really make those planes. I mean, a DC-6 is a DC-6. It's an analog plane.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I personally am not interested in analog planes, and I think my team is also not very interested in the stuff. We're into Boeings and large airliners. So again, never say never, but at the moment, no.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, speaking of airliners, you said Boeing is, your thing, and I think you guys have Boeing nailed in X-Plane 11. But you also have two Airbuses, and one of the questions in chat was the A350. I mean, I love the fact that when you guys finally got the SIDS and stars and stuff working in there,
Wait. Why are you laughing, Ramsey?
Well, as my friend and partner Dennis likes to remind me, when the plane came out, you said a year, and always when somebody asks about times, he always reminds me, "Do you remember the year? You remember you said a year and it took 3, so never say anything." Yeah, that was. Well, I'm not sure whether you know the story, but
I don't know the story.
it was a. Well, actually, so A350 was a cooperation. Well, is a cooperation with it used to be with QPAC. Do you remember QPAC?
Yeah.
So QPAC was this company in Germany who made wiring, I think, for the real A380. So they were sitting in Hamburg around the airport, and they were working with real Airbus. And they had I think at that point, a student guy called Torsten, who was working on automated systems, on automation. And they made like the A320. There was the QPAC A320.
Right.
So I don't remember how we got to meet, not to meet, I mean, to know each other. And we said, well, I want to make an A350. You have all the stuff. Let's do it. So we made the A350, and it was much better. It was selling much better than their QPAC A320. But at that point, they didn't have SIDS and stars. X-Plane default stuff didn't have SIDS and stars. So we said, okay, we're going to ship it, and then he's going to finish it. And then a couple of things happened, one after the other. The plane had a random crash issue, which actually took like 2 years to solve.
Wow.
And was actually, so the crashes were only on Mac. There were intermediate, completely random. It wasn't clear whether it was in our code or in their code. It was horrible.
Wow.
We had like 30 people testing it all the time, trying to narrow somehow down where this crash comes from. And in the end, the crash was a memory thing that had to do with I don't want to get technical, so we are using this Lua engine, and the Lua engine is built on a specific technology, and that technology is a third-party technology. So in the end, it was an issue with them, like 3 steps out, and they fixed it. By the time they fixed it, and we could concentrate on working on the actual code again, the founder of QPAC, who was like 45 years old, died.
Oh,
and QPAC said we are no longer interested in the project.
Wow.
Torsten stopped working for them and moved to Canada and started working for Bombardier.
Wow.
So it was so complicated. So it took so many years.
That's
To-
crazy.
And so what?
And it was
Was it
embarrassing.
Tolus? Was it Tolus who came in and
Yeah, sure. Torsten Liski stole it. So it took 3 years, I think, for us to get to a point where we could actually finish what we promised.
Wow.
Which is kind of embarrassing. But again, it's life. You know, we're not big companies with hundreds of employees. It's very hard to replace somebody. We are doing everything the first time.
Well,
Most of the things we're doing is the first time you do this. So
gotcha. Now the A350 is loved. You have to know this because I've flown.
yeah,
I've done a 7.5 hour flight on it. Was my last flight on it, and people love that airplane. So they want to know: are there any more updates coming out for the 350? Small updates, big updates, anything?
I'm sorry. Dennis is trying to help me over Skype. Yeah, I know what Luajit is. Thank you. I don't want to say complicated, weird things. So I say that. He writes me. He's called Luajit. I know.
Right, he's watching. Right.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, any small updates, large updates coming for the 350 at all? Or
Yeah, there should be. There should, as with the 777, the plane will get old. So it's not there yet. It's
Right.
still a nice plane. There are plans. I can probably share. Well, should I? I don't know. So we.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
I think
you
you
should.
should. Yeah.
No. Again, we are not actively at the moment like every day working on this plane. So I
Right.
don't. So we did some work on it. We put it aside. So we have some parts for the next update, made. And then we switched, to focus on those two planes. So yes, there is the next big update. Somehow supposed to be the A350. Let us ship those two. Let us finish this. Let us get explained. Hopefully, let us get explained well, because it's really time. If anyone from Laminar is listening, it's about time.
Yes, we all agree. It's about
That's
time.
fine. That's fine. They know. Again, if I ask them, which I don't, because I hate when people ask me, it will be ready when it's ready. You don't want it to be ready when it's not ready, because then you're going to say, why did you ship this piece of shit? So yeah, you want them to finish it, and
And they'd be like, why did it take
when
you
we
3
get-
years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, shit happens. Yeah, people, some move, people die, people.
Oh my God.
I mean, COVID happened.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
true.
Did you know it's going to happen?
No, it's true. How has that affected your team? Are they all together, separate places, working separate
No.
files?
So when actually COVID happened and places started to lock down, and again, you in the States, you don't know what lockdowns are.
Boy, you're true. I believe
I
it.
mean, what happens in Europe is when they lock down, they really lock down. I mean, I think, well, not in Latvia. Latvia is sparsely populated, so we didn't have that big of a deal. But Germany had, I think, weeks of you can't get out of the house.
Wow.
It's really locked down. That's it. You're at home.
Wow.
But the good thing is that we as a team have been working like this since the beginning. We have never been working in the same place. So
Gotcha.
we're all sitting at home anyway. Some of us don't get out of the house months at a time anyway, and they should. I always encourage my team to get out and ride a bike or something, even if you don't have to.
Right.
So we are in Latvia, in Ukraine, in Russia, in Belarus, in Bulgaria. We had a guy. He left now. Well, yeah, I think that's it. But I think only like 2 or 3 people in the team are actually in the same city.
Wow.
So it's all over Russia. I mean, some guys are in Siberia, some guys are in Moscow.
Siberia. Wow.
Yeah, Siberia is just a place. It's nothing. It sounds like Siberia. Okay, yeah, Siberia.
Yeah, it sounds like somewhere that doesn't have Wi-Fi.
Actually, they have like 5G.
Oh,
Unlike
boy.
me here, I have a horrible internet.
Yeah, there's a good Keanu Reeves movie that was filmed in Siberia. I love that movie. I forgot the name of it. I think about
I
it.
don't
It was
know.
yeah. But
Siberia,
yeah,
Siberia is a very
Yeah,
nice place.
I
I
got
mean,
you.
it's like
Yeah.
forests and
Right. And what about
Yeah.
your 320? I mean, honestly, it's controversial, but my favorite Airbus in X-Plane is still the FlightFactor A320. There's something nice about that airplane. I can't put my finger on what it is, but
Electrons being simulated.
right.
Electrons.
It's just
Oh,
no. I love my Tolis A321, 320, 319, but the FlightFactor A320 had this extra little feel to it. I can't tell you what it is. It flies so good, you know. I mean, is that was your no, that was your second Airbus, but how did that come about, and what's the future of that plane?
well, we don't know what the future of anything is, but so the A320 is kind of a separate project. It's not a core FlightFactor. So the way it came by, I don't remember, like 5 years ago, probably. There was this guy who was introduced to me by, I think, one of the 3D guys who worked for us even, who lives in Siberia, who was a very smart guy. We physically met in Moscow. He showed me his code, the things that he has done. He's very smart. He has done things which I can't do. I mean, I praise myself being smart and doing, like, I can do math. He did some very nice calculations, but he couldn't really get it to work as a plane. So he had those ideas and those nice technologies, and he was simulated everything down to electrons. Again, I am kidding, of course, about the electrons, but he was simulating the physical processes down to things which I don't think you should simulate, to tell you the truth, because it takes too much effort and it's very complicated to work with. So he said, "Well, I want to build a plane out of this. I want to finish it." I was working for years on it. So I brought him into the team, and we worked for 2 years. And he wanted to continue working and say it's not ready, and I want to finish that. I want to finish this. But again, on one side, you want to do a good project, and on the other side, you have to finish it at some point, because otherwise it dies. It just never gets out. It becomes old. The good thing, the thing that I like to say, the IL-96, the real plane, Illusion 96. It's a 1993 aircraft, which basically became old without really being produced. So the same thing happens, of course, to programming projects. That if you work on something too long and you try to perfect it, by the time you do, it's old now. You don't need it. The world has changed.
Yeah.
So we shipped it raw. And I think only about now we are actually getting, I think formally we got to a point where we can say, yes, it has everything that it was supposed to have.
Wow.
So the thing is, in some sense, it's very good. It's very precise. It's more precise than anything else. It has its own aerodynamic model, which runs outside the X-plane. On the other hand, it doesn't have some of the trivial features which other planes have. And it's, people ask me all the time online, we want a different engine model. It's so easy, just put a different engine model on it. Well, it's not easy to put a different engine model on any plane because it affects aerodynamics, it defends the systems, but it's super, super complicated with the A320 because you have to build it basically from the bottom up. You can't just change the engine and say, okay, X-plane now it works a bit differently. No, it doesn't. It affects everything like the real plane. So you have to rebuild half the plane for it. And you have to build this aerodynamic model, which is being built in MATLAB. Then you have to import it into the code. It has to work, and it's very, very complicated. So each plane has its own problems. So this plane has those problems. And a couple of months ago, Dennis, got out of tape about the plane being poorly received and people are unhappy. So he said, they stop you. And he's not the guy who handled the project. So
right.
So we have those meetings once a month with the whole team, and he got all out of shape about it. And what happened is that I talked to the team who works on the plane, and I said, look, guys, he's right. He's right. The plane is kind of complete, but it lacks in many ways. And I got them kind of motivated a bit, or maybe Dennis with his shouting. So we pledged a different technique. And now every like 8 weeks or something, we're going to ship a version, and the guy who is the head of the project, so he is now posting things that he's going to do for this version. So it's kind of getting a new technique. It's not a new life, but it's a new way of shipping it, a new way of working on it, rather than sitting and working on big issues. So what happens sometimes is you have 100 small issues, 3 big issues, and when you look at the small issues, you say, well, it's small, I'm not going to do it. It can wait. And then those small issues wait for 3 years because you're working on the big issues. So we kind of changed the way it works, and they're supposed to work on like 1 big issue and 5 small issues. So we'll see how that works. So we have like 3 people working 100% of the time only on that project. So if people are worried that no one is handling it, there are 3 people in FlightFactor who don't do anything else but work on the A320.
Wow.
Wow, that's good to know. Actually, great. As a matter of fact, I appreciate your openness as a developer.
Yeah.
Basically giving us a behind the scenes of how this stuff works, because we're here, we buy it, we assume that hey, you can do it by next week Wednesday and have it all done and ready.
No.
That's what we think. But hearing it from you actually as the actual behind the scenes of how this stuff works is good. It's good to know. Give us a little bit more patient. Not really fully patient, because we never are with flight sim, but we're really a little bit more patient with this, and we appreciate the openness, man. Absolutely, definitely. You're gonna say something, Blue?
No, I'm just clearing my throat.
Okay, no, it's good. I love that. I love hearing this behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, me too.
But you guys were the first airplane developers for X-Plane, or what?
No, of course not. No. We were the first airplane developers for X-Plane.
That's real.
I think the Triple was the first wide body airliner or something like that. Again, if I'm mistaken, don't catch me. So there was another big project which came out before the 777, which was the CRJ200, made by Javier and Philip.
Wow, is it that old?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Do you remember that video that Javier had before it shipped, like with the lighting, and it was so cool? Yeah, that was like 12 or 13 years ago.
Holy
that was
crap.
a long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I still list my hair color as brown, I think, but then I actually had brown hair. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I mean, we have made 5 big planes, and those projects are alive. So yes, also we have lives, we have wives, kids, we have to move from place to place, we have COVID, we have so it might feel that we can do this next week Wednesday, but no, it takes time. And the funny thing is that the more people you have in your team, the more complicated it gets.
Wow.
Because when there was like 3 of us or 2 of us or even 4 of us, it was easy. You just you talk on Skype whenever you have time and you work on it. Now we have meetings. We have, once a month it's a big meeting of everybody. Once in 2 weeks it's a meeting of this team and of that team. And then we have like 4 3D guys, so they have to work kind of in unison. So we have a guy who is responsible for the 3D guys. He has meetings with them. It's so complicated.
So I do have a question, kind of along the lines of the 777 and 787, because the current projects you guys are working on. What are you guys doing differently now in 2021 as a team, as FlightFactor, as developers, behind the scenes, whichever, that is really taking this next generation of aircraft add-ons to the next level, like above, like with the 320? Because again, we've seen the 320, how it's evolved from its raw form to what it is today, and you just said that you guys are working on it continually to continue to make it better, make it evolve, make the community happy. We got the 757, they got the V2 sorry, a while back with the new screens. The 767, a very similar update came with that. The A350 with very significant updates as well. But as far as like I said, we've kind of all seen what you guys can do and have done, right? But obviously times change, technology changes, you get new team members, you learn more about X-Plane and how that works. I mean, as long as X-Plane 11's been out, I mean, I feel like FlightFactor, I'm not speaking for your team, I'm just saying I feel like by this time developers should have a pretty good grasp and hold of what's possible and what they can do. But like now, again, in 2021, I think the 777 is a perfect example of this because it's like your first project, right, that came out 10 plus years ago. Now, into the future, 2021, which you probably never saw coming. What are you guys doing differently that is gonna really like make these planes pop? And what are you doing to push it to the next level, basically?
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Again, I don't want to go. No, it's okay. I mean, I don't want to go into the detail of actual plane. We'll show that in time, and
Right.
once a week we'll try to post about it. In terms of technology, we have. So you probably know that we have two parts of the code. We write some things in C++ and some things we write in Lua through this platform called Sassel, which we develop ourselves. So in terms of that, everything is basically like it was 10 years ago. It's the same technologies. What we are doing is we're structuring it a bit differently, so we can, you can have modules in a way. Again, I don't want to talk sharp about programming, and I'm not a programmer, by the way. I don't consider myself a programmer, at least. Like Dennis and some other guys, they're real programmers. I'm kind of an amateur. I know planes and I know math, and so the way it's built, it's now more modular, so you can take one part out, put another part in. We are trying to optimize it. We're really working on optimization. To tell you the truth, all the previous projects, we were building the plane and then we were optimizing it.
Mm-hmm.
The way we're building it now is the optimizations comes inside. So we're trying to structure it in a way that is going to be more optimal in terms of frame rates. Because of course, I'm expecting that the next version of X-Plane is going to be probably more heavier on the frames, as usual. When you get like the first major version. So we are kind of trying to make the plane have higher resolution, have more stuff in, and at the same time to have better frame rates, which is kind of weird because one negates the other. But at the moment, I think we're still there. I think that the 777 frames now are better than the 57 frames.
Mm.
Oh wow!
It's not complete yet.
Right.
So, but at least on my machine at the moment, we're building it much more, with this optimization in our minds all the time. So the big difference is, so when people say version 2, the thing is, I always write everywhere, it's not version 2, it's a new plane.
Mm.
We are not using one line of code from, I don't want to lie. We're using no lines of code from the 777.
Nice.
And maybe 3% of code from 5767 project.
Wow. So you guys are
really
basically starting over with a brand new plane from the ground up. That's great to hear. That is amazing to hear.
So some things, of course, we moved, like the click system, the interaction with the cockpit. We basically moved it, refactored it, but it's not new. It's something we already have in the 67 and 57. But in terms of systems, there is nothing there. There's not one line of code. Everything is being built from the ground up. The good thing is we can build it more optimally. The bad thing is it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
We have to. So things that seemingly we have already done, we have to do again. But again, of course, we have much more knowledge now. It's amazing now when I'm thinking about it. The way when I wrote the code for the systems for the 777, I had no idea how it works. I read the FCOM. Well, okay, I read the FCOM and some of the AMM, but I mean, now I have much more knowledge and we have much more experience. And in terms like 3D, stuff like that, we have 4 amazing guys. The 3D for the old 777, I made it.
Wow.
Really?
I watched Dan Clow make 3D and I made 3D.
From a YouTube tutorial.
Yes, and I think the textures, at least the first version of textures, was also made by me. I'm not a 3D guy. I can't paint. I can't do anything. I know I can think about it. I can program stuff.
That's
I
amazing.
can come up with solutions. Now I don't make any 3D. Nothing. We have 4 guys now. Very nice. Very nice guys.
Wow.
So
I mean,
they can do good stuff.
Another question I have, and I know people in my chat have been asking. So what are you guys doing like sound wise? Sound is a big thing in the community as well. Like, what's that process look like? Are you doing anything differently that you can say for these next projects, and also all around for even the past projects? What does that look like?
So the old Boeing projects, so the triple, the five, the 7.6, they, most of the sound, at least the engine sounds, were made by BSS.
Oh,
So we're
the originals.
yeah,
Sky, right.
So they made, well, he. This is a guy who now lives in Florida, by the way.
Good to know.
Yeah, I think he was living in Chicago. Now he lives in Florida. I see him posting on social media pictures from his window in Miami somewhere. So he's a private pilot, by the way, flies at Cessna.
I'm telling you, man, all of us just need to go flying sometime. Just hop in our little GA planes, just go flying up the coast. We should just meet up and fly to the FS Expo. That's what we should do.
True.
If you live in the States, you should fly for that. Definitely. So yeah, so those planes had sounds made by BSS. The A320 has a different sound set. Those are real recordings for the real plane. They seem to be received well by the community. People love them. Even though I think BSS has a pack for A320.
Yeah, they do.
So some people prefer generated sounds or artificially made sounds or somehow like that. Some people prefer the sounds made for the A320 by a guy in the cockpit. I think the big difference is when you are in the cockpit, you know the little things where the sounds are coming from. It's not so much, I think, my personal opinion, it's not so much about the actual recording of the sound, but more about how it works and from where it sounds. So when you are imagining this and you are building it at home, it's more difficult than when you can go into the cockpit and listen and say, this thing comes from here, that thing comes from there. So I'm not a fan of pre-recording sounds because it's because it's more difficult. And if you need to fix something, you need to find the plane and the guy, and you need to stick a microphone on the plane. And that's not something I can do with a Boeing all the time. I might be able to do it once somewhere, or somebody can record the sound for me. I can go to the airport, but we don't have it freely accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer to make artificial sounds and to perfect this in a way that people like it.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than record it once and then, now I have the sound set and I can't change it and I can't do anything. So in terms of sound, we are trying to come up with a new way of making sounds. That's what I can say. It's not complete yet. As soon as we have something, I'm going to post something about it. But it's in the works. It's one of the things that we are not 100% sure how it's going to work yet. So we have like two technologies which we are flipping around and checking which one is going to give us better. But it's going to be something new. It's not going to be sounds made by BSS as it used to be. It's going to be different.
Okay. And do you guys already have a person on the team or that's dedicated just to that thing, or are you guys looking for someone still?
No, we don't have a person on the team dedicated to sounds. We have two people on the team who used to be musicians, so at least they can critique. Not sure whether they can.
Right.
He's listening. He's listening to me, so I'm not sure that they will. Okay, I'm not sure whether they will have the time. Those guys, because they're programming. I'm not sure. But Dennis plays the guitar, and he used to be a musician. I think they still have a band. He's pretty good. I'm not sure that he will have the time to work on it, but at least critiquing he can do. We have a guy now that we have two guys that we are working with, third party, two different technologies. And once we have a result and we have a clear way through, we are going to post something about it. We're going to show the sounds.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's all I can say.
You have two guys competing on the sound to see which is going to be better. You'll go with that one.
It's not a question of competing. It's a question of getting the result, at least the result that we We have decided which is again. You never try to. You can try to do the best, but at some point you decide, okay, this is the minimal thing that I'm going to do. I want these criteria to be met. Let's see if we can meet them, and then when we meet them, we can try. Okay, now can we push it further?
And besides yourself being type rated in the 777, which is amazing, by the way. I didn't say it yet, but congratulations. That's a big deal.
Thank you.
I know it's a big accomplishment. But besides yourself being type rated in 777, do you guys have any other real world pilots that are type rated or actually fly the real plane as far as the 777 or the 787, like on the beta team as you guys are developing and getting feedback from that?
Yeah. Okay. So actually now we have a 3D guy who is getting a type rating in the 320 like right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's not so. What happened is I don't remember how we found this nice guy. He's very good. So we hired him as a 3D guy, and he just finished his pilot school in Russia. So it's like a 4-year school, it's a college. And COVID hit, so he was out of the loop, and now it's kind of back. So he's getting type rated now in the 320, and he's part of the team. So he's one of the guys who works on the A320, obviously. The core team, no one else flies. My plan was that Dennis will fly. I got my flight instructor rating in Europe, and I need to teach somebody. So I was okay, Philip taught me how to fly. Now let me teach you how to fly. And he's like, Dennis is this guy who was in the sim world before me. He's this big simmer. He knows about planes. He came by like 2 years ago, I think, the summer of 19 or 18, and we flew around in the Cessna, and he loved it. Said, okay, now come by. You can come here. He lives in Russia. You can come here. I'll teach you. But somehow he's always finding reasons why not to do it. So yeah.
Shoot, I'll come to Russia if you'll teach me to fly. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, actually, now I'm getting my CFI in the States, so I can teach you in the States, hopefully. So
hey, I'm down. Hit me up. Let's do it.
There is no ending to your flying career, whether it's in the simulator or in the real world.
That's the thing. When you're a pilot, there is always something you can do. There's always the next step, and it's very nice because you learn all the time and you kind of keep it sharp. And I mean, I used to teach in the university. I like it. I teach a little bit flying now here, maybe once a week, very, very rarely. So to actually answer your question, we have a team of advisors. They're not yet beta testers because there's no beta to test. But we have a team of advisors. I think there are 7 people or 8 now who are all instructors or actual pilots on the 777 and 78.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's awesome.
We talk to them every day. We have the little Skype group. And we have those guys, and we have one mechanic who helps us. Who works on the plane every day. Those are real people. Some of them we found in the community. Some of them approached us. Some of them we found when I was doing my type rating. I got to know some people who are X-Plane fans. That actually was very funny. So I am in a sim session, and the sim sessions you have to do in pairs. You have to do with a crew member, and because I didn't come from an airline, I was alone. So I got I got somebody. So they supplied somebody to do the sim session with me. Once it was a pilot, once it was an instructor, once it was someone who used to be a pilot who is now 96 years old, stuff like that. So there's this guy coming in, and he's an instructor, and I'm sitting there and preparing the aircraft. I said, okay, what do you do? Where you fly? I said, well, I fly at Cessna and stuff like that. Okay, that's interesting. So what do you do in real life? I said, do you know X-Plane? And he says, yes, I know X-Plane. He says, what do you like in X-Plane? He says, well, I fly this and that, and I have like a little cockpit at home for the 737. Okay, but which planes do you like? Well, there is this company called FlightFactor, and they have the 5, 7, and 6. And I have this, I don't know where it is. It's not here. And I have this little badge, like the airliner badge with FlightFactor on it. Is this one?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
My God.
Actually, I had two experiences like this. I had another experience like this when I went. So, I am sometimes I become bored when I fly somewhere on an airliner, and you have those certificates, and what you do is you ask the flight attendant, "Can I see the captain?" And sometimes that works. I mean, some people are nice, and the airlines sometimes allow it, and they say, "Okay, come into the cockpit." So I was flying somewhere, long flight, like 6 hours, on a 777, and I go there, and he's like this happy guy. Uh, I don't want to say which airline because maybe it's not formally allowed. So, and again, he asked what you do, and I say, well, there's this theme called XP11. Oh, yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, there's this plane, and I like it. I have it at home. So, okay, I made it. Oh,
Oh my God. Wow. Unreal.
twice, only twice I have it. So fun, so much fun.
Unreal. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to know, my biased audience, so far 337 people have voted in the poll, and 787 33%, 777 67%. So over 330 people have voted on this poll, and they want the
Okay. So
777 first.
hopefully you will not get a plane which is 66% 777 and 30%.
Hopefully,
Hopefully you get both.
well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. But yeah, 777 is winning. I don't know what it is. I mean, the 787 is modern. I love the 787. But the 777 is just that staple airplane, man. That. I mean, why did you choose that to get your type rating on versus the 737 or?
Okay. Well, I mean, if I'm working on the 777 and I know the plane, my instructor in Panama was so unhappy. He said, "I hate you." He said, "You are horrible." So the normal students come here and they listen to me and they do what I say and they learn. And you ask questions and you ask weird stuff that no one wants to know. And the way things I ask is, so they gave me this thing to learn before, like 46 hours at home, and I read it, but I knew it anyway. And then I come there and I ask, okay, so what happens if this thing goes offline, that thing goes offline, here's the pressure is higher. What? Why? What do you want? Why? Why do you want to know that? It's important. So yeah, so I mean, I know the plane. I love the plane. Somehow the 777 is my favorite plane. So the 73 never entered my mind in that sense.
So what about the newer 777? What are your thoughts on the 777X?
Well, obviously, at some point we are going to work on it. I mean, it's logical.
Like, is that an easy transition to go from, like, once you complete the 777, would it be easy to transition to that newer version?
I don't know. That's the thing. It's not. The information is not that available. That's one of the reasons why I can't tell you anything. So it is logical that at some point, having done the 777 and the 87, we're going to want to do that because it's a kind of a combination. Again, as far as I understand, because the information is not that available. I think even professional information is not that available. Yeah. So I don't know. So it's going to depend on how easy it is. But it would be a logical choice at some point to work on that as well. As far as I understand, it's kind of a combination of the 777 in terms of power plant and stuff like that with the avionics of the 78. But I might be wrong. I'm not well versed in that.
Wow.
So yeah, so the 73 never entered my mind as a type rating, which would be much easier because you can get it here in Air Baltic. What I did do is I did my multi-crew cooperation course in the 737-500. Which was a lot of fun because you have to do a lot of things. It's all manual. You have to push a lot of buttons.
That's right.
It was fun.
777 semi-automated. Good. Wow. Can you believe it's already almost hour and a half we've been at this? Jeez. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Getting the inside detail in school. It's very easy to do this.
Hey, that's dating advice right there, guys. If you want her to talk, ask about herself.
No, that's good. Wow. No, awesome. So we have learned from you A350, what the process on that is, and updates coming. A320 now is going to have smaller incremental updates, which we love seeing updates anyway. You guys are still updating the 7.5 on the 7.6. Every now and again, I pop up to go fly. It goes, there's an update available. I'm like, I don't want any more updates on these planes. They're already good. That's the 7.5 and 7.6. 777 and 7.8 has been worked on concurrent, side by side, basically. And, you guys are doing it from basically, it's not even a version 2, as you said. That's just a ground up build, brand new. Okay. Anything that we're missing from FlightFactor that we haven't?
I did want to ask, what variant of the 777 are you guys making? 200, 300?
Okay. So I guess the question is, which variant is going to come out first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, at some point, all of them are, well, most of them. I don't think we have all of them before the version 1. I don't think we have like the 200 non-ER or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because it seems redundant at some point to have.
Was there a cargo version of version 1?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I couldn't remember.
The freighter was this. Yeah, it was the first big update of the 777, the cargo version.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I don't want to say. I'm not sure. So I have an idea, but it's not decided yet.
Right.
So
I have the same question with the 787. What variant is that one?
No, I'm not. Again, in terms of 3D, the guys who work on the 3D of those planes, they're charged with making all the variants at the same time.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So again, because when you're making the fuselage, it's longer, shorter. You're working on engines, so you just make all the versions. So the guys. 1 second. Dennis is suggesting something. Okay?
He's getting some advice from his PR manager.
It's good. We like it.
Okay, so Dennis says that there's always a problem in the name of FlightFactor. It's not 2 words, it's 1 word, and he's very unhappy.
No.
In the stream name somewhere. Yes, it's a 2 word. Yeah, it's 1 word.
Oh, well, that is going to be updated forthwith right now.
You can blame that on XP because my stream has them together.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
Updated as we speak, live on the fly. I love that. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate that.
Yeah, next time you come, he can come and speak.
Yeah, we would like to hear from Dennis. Sounds like a cool guy.
They're all shy because of the English question. You have to. What was we talking about before?
Yeah, you did answer the questions about the variants coming up for the 7.8 and the
so
and you said you did make it all at one point.
Yeah, the 3D guys have so in terms of like fuselages, they're just making all of them, and in terms of engines, there is like a sequence of engines. But yes, the 3D guys are working on all the 3D. So hopefully at some point you will have all the variants in some form. So it's not going to be like 10 different packages you can buy. Usually, like we have for the 7.6 and 7.5 is like a base package, and then you can add like one from here, one from there, one from here. So we have the system now where you can non-linearly come to the same full package by buying parts. So that works through this updater that we created.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the question of why can't we do everything by next week's Wednesday? Things like this updater, it's a huge piece of code which somebody writes, somebody maintains, somebody tests, and it's not a plane. It's not something you see and okay, they have a new product.
And then
it's not a new product, but it still works.
With each variant, you'd have to go and I guess tweak the flight model, and especially same thing with engines as well.
Well, yeah, sure. It's not as difficult as with the A320, where you have to build the whole plane. And you have to like solve equations on MATLAB. We are using for those planes. We are using Laminar's system of for the aerodynamics. But yes, of course, you have to tweak the engines. You have to build like the instruments are a bit different. Also, there are a couple of variants of the cockpit because you have like the older 3 instrument cockpit or the integrated. So all of them are being worked on. Which one is going to be first? I don't know. Version 1 had the 200 LR as the first, which is weird because it's like the rarest plane ever. I think there are only 25 of them.
Wow.
Right.
Because the LR is the fuselage of the 200 with the wings of the 300 and the engines of the 300.
Jeez.
It's actually the same plane as the freighter, but they built it for this extra long haul, so it has less people in, but it's longer. So at that point, that's a weird plane. I want to make that. I have no idea what we'll do this time. We'll just choose the one which is, I don't know, ready first or something like that. We'll see.
And then my chat's going crazy asking about a 767-400.
Okay. Yes. So 767-400. Talking about weird planes. That's the weirdest one of all.
Right.
Yes. So a couple of months ago, I actually went out and I took a day to read about the plane. So this, as most people who are asking at least should know, the 767-400 is a modification of the 767 with the panels of the 777, with some of the systems of the 777, with a different gear and something else. So it's this monster. It's a Frankenstein.
That's like a Frankenstein Boeing wide body.
That's a Frankenstein.
Oh God! Wow, didn't know that. Learned that today.
Yes. So if you look at the cockpit, you see the front panel and the pedestal of the triple, but then all the systems are still from the 7.6. So the overhead is a 7.6 overhead. So it's a weird combination. So it is an interesting thing to do. And the answer is basically whenever we find the time. So in between, so it's not like a new project. It's not like a year of work, but it's probably 6 months of work.
Right.
So that means, real work, like when the 3-4 guys who are actually writing the actual planes have to sit down and do it.
So since it has so many pieces from the 777, would it not be easier to build that after the 777 and bring over some of the elements from that? I'm not a developer, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
So yes, so of course, definitely not before the 7.7 and 7.8 are out. So it's kind of, it seems logical because of the combination. Take some parts of the triple, take some parts of the 7.6. The thing is that the 7.6 and 7.5 are made on this older technology.
Yes, that's right.
They are not modular yet, so it's not easy to combine them. But so the answer is yes, I'm aware of this plane and I like it. And at some point, probably yes.
So basically, you know about it, it's on your radar, but it's not in production.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it's not. But of course, at some point, it's something that we would. So probably this before something totally different.
Yeah, we needed 777 and 787 first.
And just out of curiosity, because we know we love the 777, it's winning the polls. We love the 787 as well, and I think that X-Plane 12 is going to be amazing with both of these planes on it. But my question is for FlightFactor as a company and you personally, like what? I know you say you love the 777 as a plane in general, but what other planes out there do you guys kind of have your eyes on? Like what, in a perfect world, what other plane would you be able to develop that's not already in your lineup?
So you're trying to trick me into telling you what we're thinking about? Look, in a perfect world where what was like the spherical horse in vacuum world, I don't. I'm trying not to think about.
You don't have to drop any bombs on us. I'm just asking, between the three of us, honestly, as an aviation lover, if you could have any plane on the FlightFactor lineup, what plane would you add to it?
So between the three of us and the 3 streams you're running here, I know we are Boeing guys. I think Dennis as well is more into Boeings than Airbuses or anything else. So in terms of other planes, we would look into the Boeing world and choose something probably new, something different than what we have made before.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of perfect world, if we could make a plane without needing it to sell, because you have to remember, it's not possible anymore to build planes and do something else. They're too complicated. So 10 years ago, people could, have a job and then work on planes at night and do whatever they find interesting, and that would be fine. Now you can't do that. You can't spend 2 hours a day working on a plane and have people like it, because the planes have gotten complicated. So you have to make a job out of it. They have to bring you enough money to bring food home. So I would love at some point to do the Superjet again, but I don't think it's feasible. I don't think anyone will buy. Well, some people will buy it, but the amount of effort that needs to be put into it to make a good plane, it's just not something that the market doesn't like it, doesn't want it. So in a perfect world, if I could make any plane in the world, without the need to sell it, I don't know. I have to think about it. IL-96. You remember I had one. I think it's still. Is it free now? I'm not sure.
Yeah, V96.
It might be. It might be free now. But yeah, it's like this old Russian plane. It's the plane that Russian president flies on.
Nice.
So they have, at least they're making new. I think there's like only 2 airlines plus this national. It's like Air Force One, so like this. They call it. I don't know how to translate it. Like this.
Vision 96. Wow. All right. Well, I hear you. Anything else from FlightFactor we should be aware of? I mean, we're here in your corner.
Dennis, do you want me to say anything? You can write.
There you go.
Yeah, Dennis. Anything else you want to share before we leave?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, So I want patience from people. I'm hoping for patience, and we're trying. It's always so in terms of 5, 7, 6, 7. The planes are pretty well made now, so we are not really working on them too much. But we do have like lists of things that need to be fixed, and then at some points, like once a month, is okay. Let's go look. Is the list big enough? We can fix it and ship it. So there are things like that are coming. I have a list for the A350 for the small update. It's almost big enough for me to go and work on it. We had a nice lady work for us who was helping with the A350, but unfortunately she left. She doesn't like it. Okay, so Dennis says that he is talking on the chat, so he doesn't need me to say anything.
He's in my chat. I see him.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Oh yeah, he's in the chat. I see him. Wow. Well, look. This has been real. This is actually I love this conversation. I love this kind of developer behind the scenes conversation. Very frank, very candid. Just giving us an idea of what goes on behind the scene and how you guys come up with the airplanes and how long it takes, or balance with the quality you're going to get. And I appreciate it so much for agreeing to this interview. Ramsey is absolutely insightful on my part. Definitely enjoy this. Blue.
Yeah, man, I've been really enjoy listening to your insight from behind the scenes. I mean, as a user, we don't know that much about what it takes to make this thing happen. It's like we can be very demanding and like, yeah, we want this done this way, this and that, but we don't know what it takes to go into it. So thank you for being transparent, being honest, and just kind of giving us some insight into the background of the legend FlightFactor. Yeah.
Yep. Finally get to know.
Hopefully we will see each other in San Diego.
Yes.
It's now it's complicated. We'll see. I'm still planning to be there. I am going to be in the States. We'll see if I can actually make it to San Diego. Hopefully, yes.
Would be nice.
I mean, they might close it. I don't know.
Don't say that, numbers, man. We're ready to we're booked and ready to go, man.
Yes, we are.
Shake your hand in San Diego, so it's gonna happen.
Hopefully we'll see each other there.
Yeah.
Okay. I should wish everybody happy flying in our planes.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. This was fun.
Love it. Appreciate it for you staying up at 3 a.m. Now it's probably like 5 a.m. for you. Jeez, man.
4:30. It's 4:38.
Wow.
And hopefully my wife is going to take the kids to school, so I won't have to wake up in 2 hours. So
Nice.
Thank you so much, man. Like
Ramses.
it's really an honor to have you on the show with us again. You're like
Thank you
famous
very
to
much.
me
Yeah,
because
okay.
you know all your products. I flew them all, have them all, and I know the community, people watching as well, are also definitely excited and glad to hear your feedback. So, man, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ramses.
That was fun.
FlightFactor team. Take
An
care,
honor.
guys. Heads down. Keep working. We're waiting for those planes. Have a great one.
See you
Bye.
guys.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah. All right.